Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, 1770 to 1831, was a German philosopher who played a significant role in shaping modern Western philosophy. Born in Stuttgart, he is best known for his contributions to German idealism, a philosophical movement that sought to reconcile the contradictions between the subjective and objective aspects of reality. Hegel's system of absolute idealism aimed to provide a unified account of the vast array of knowledge. Born on August 27, 1770 in Stuttgart, then part of the Holy Roman Empire, Hegel was the eldest of three children. His father was a government official, while his mother, a devout woman, died when Hegel was a young boy. Hegel was educated at Stuttgart's Gymnasium Illustre and went on to study at the Tübinger Stift, a Protestant seminary attached to the University of Tübingen, where he became close friends with the future German poet Friedrich Hölderlin and the philosopher Friedrich Schelling. After finishing his studies, Hegel worked as a private tutor and later as an editor of a newspaper. He was deeply affected by the French Revolution and its promise of freedom and equality. During his time in Jena, he collaborated with Schelling, and it was here that Hegel developed his own philosophical ideas distinct from those of his friend. Hegel's early works include The Phenomenology of Spirit, 1807, which outlined his groundbreaking ideas on dialectics, history, and consciousness. Hegel's philosophy is a comprehensive system that aims to integrate all aspects of reality. His most significant concepts include dialectical method. Central to Hegel's philosophy is the dialectical method, which is a way of understanding change and contradiction through a three-step process often referred to as thesis, antithesis, synthesis. For Hegel, progress comes through a process of conflict and resolution, where each stage of development, thesis, necessarily involves contradiction or negation, antithesis, and this contradiction is overcome and resolved in a higher stage of development, synthesis, which then becomes the new thesis in a further process. Absolute idealism. Hegel's philosophical system, known as absolute idealism, argues that reality is an interconnected whole. The absolute for Hegel is a unity that is both conceptual and real, encompassing both mind and nature. Phenomenology of Spirit. In this work, Hegel explains the development of human consciousness. It is a narrative that explains the evolution of consciousness from simple sensory awareness to full self-realization, which Hegel identifies with the absolute knowing itself. Hegel's logic and metaphysics. In his Science of Logic, Hegel outlines his metaphysics and logic. Unlike traditional logic, Hegel's dialectical logic is dynamic and developmental. Philosophy of history. Hegel saw history as a rational process, where freedom is actualized in the world through a dialectical process. For Hegel, history progresses towards greater and more concrete freedom. Philosophy of right. Hegel's political philosophy is detailed in his work, Elements of the Philosophy of Right, where he outlines the structure and functioning of a modern state. Here he describes how the ethical life, or Sittlichkeit, of individuals is embodied in the institutions of family, civil society, and the state. Impact and criticism. Hegel's ideas were revolutionary and had a profound impact on subsequent philosophical thought. He influenced a wide array of thinkers, from Marxists who adopted and adapted his notion of dialectical development, to existentialists, who drew upon his notions of alienation and freedom. Critics of Hegel have charged him with being overly abstract and difficult to interpret, and some have seen his endorsement of the Prussian state as problematic. After a series of academic positions in Jena, Heidelberg, and Nuremberg, Hegel achieved his greatest recognition as a philosopher while teaching at the University of Berlin from 1818 until his death in 1831. Hegel's final and perhaps most lasting role was as a teacher. The students he taught and inspired at Berlin came to be known as the Young Hegelians, who played a significant role in the intellectual life of Germany in the decades following Hegel's death. Hegel died on November 14, 1831, during a cholera outbreak in Berlin. G.W.F. Hegel remains one of the most profound and influential figures in the history of philosophy. His system of absolute idealism aimed to synthesize all of human experience and knowledge into a rational, coherent framework. Though complex and often misunderstood, his ideas have shaped numerous philosophical movements and continue to be studied and debated to this day.